moments you remember. The games you can't forget. Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947, Boom FM and Rise FM. Powered by Hollywood Bet.
Well, this is the World Cup update on hashtag MSW, powered by Rexona. It won't let you down.
Robert Marawa. Live from the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Spanning Canada, Mexico, and the United States of America.
Well, that journey continues even without the host nation still being part and parcel of this tournament. But you know what? If football is the beautiful game, then I guess tonight we are asking whether justice is still part of that beauty. What unfolded in Atlanta will be debated for years to come, I'm sure. Argentina, the defending world champions, producing a stunning comeback from 2 goals down to beat Egypt 3-2. But the headlines haven't just been about Lionel Messi or Enzo Fernandez or another forgettable World Cup classic. In my world, I'll say unforgettable for many, many reasons. I guess the headlines are talking about VAR, controversial officiating, whether the game treated Egypt fairly. The Pharaohs have also cried foul. The coach has also questioned the credibility of the tournament. Their fans feel robbed. And across football, in the entire football world, the debate is still raging, even right up until now. I've just seen a post a few seconds ago. Are the biggest teams getting the biggest decisions? Is one of many questions. And joining us live now from the United States of America is one of the most respected voices in world football. She's an author, senior Premier League reporter, and also someone who hasn't held back on social media. You can go onto her timeline. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about what she's witnessed at this World Cup. I mean, she's described Egypt as greater than the sum of their parts and called the officiating an absolute farce, questioning the consistency of VAR intentions and interventions, or whatever you want to call them, and whether football's biggest names are benefiting from them. Melissa Reddy, welcome to Marawa Sports Worldwide.
I am still fuming, Robert.
Why? Tell me why. That Egypt game, right?
Yes, it's just the inconsistency we've seen so far throughout the World Cup. And it is very hinged towards certain teams, certain players. And if you've been paying attention, and I have had to, not just because I'm covering the World Cup on US radio, so I've had to pay microscopic detail because I'm doing play recalls live on the radio and long talk show analysis, which, as you will know yourself, requires you to be across every stretch of the game, across every law, but also across whether things have been applied fairly and consistently across all games, which definitely hasn't been the case.
It looks like, depending which sector loves what, and which I always find to be very unfair, Mel, I think football should be looked at what football has offered and what it delivers, and what VAR offers and what VAR delivers, or at times doesn't deliver, and it's the lack of consistency. So there hasn't been consistency. Why go back that far to overrule what was going to be one of the best goals of the World Cup? I've listened to the likes of Alan Shearer, one of the most respected voices in football as a former player himself. He also is and shares that same opinion that VAR shouldn't go back and re-referee something that has been refereed already. What's your take just solely on that one?
So the referee watches the play. He sees the foul in real time. He allows play to continue. And through that entire stanza, we're talking about 100 yards away from goal when the foul occurs. He watches everything develop. Argentina have 4, minimum 3 chances to genuinely win back the ball and don't. It is an incredible counter-attacking goal, which, had it stood, which the referee allowed it to stand, would have been one of the goals of the tournament, if not the goal of the tournament, because of the beauty, the brilliance, and the surgical method in which Egypt completely carved open Argentina. Now, VAR, when it's looking at disallowing a goal, is never meant to go that far back. And when we're talking about that far back, people will say it's the same phase of play, but there's distinct differences between an attacking phase of a game. The distance to goal as well is meant to make it, if it's that far back, it has to be so fundamentally incorrect. For example, it should have been a penalty to the opposing team, and the penalty wasn't called, and you've allowed play to develop, and then Egypt go and score. Now, we've actually seen that previously in a game between Nigeria and South Africa. That's a different context. Here you're talking about players tussling for a ball. There's an accidental stamp on the foot. The ball is won, Egypt break. And again, I will state the distance traveled and the amount of chances Argentina have to win the ball back mean that is such a huge overstretch by the VAR. And I said at the time, I tweeted, if people have been paying attention, it wouldn't have been called in the other direction for Argentina. And that is because against Austria, Argentina had a goal stand for a more obvious foul in a further forward in the field, and that goal stood. There was no VAR intervention at all. Play was allowed to continue. Then, just to prove my point, we have a situation with Argentina's winner where there are two fouls in for Egypt in Argentina's box that are waved away, that are not given the same scrutiny by VAR, to just ram home the point that the officiating was very skewed in that game. Now, one of the issues I have is when we're judging calls, there's always a focus just on the big calls, the controversies. I would implore people to watch that game back from the beginning, look at all the 50-50s, look at which way they went. You had Salah being penalized the softest free kick possible on Paredes, who lets the ball roll under his feet. It's a counter-attacking opportunity for Egypt that's stopped. You have Romero sliding in on Salah. He doesn't go into the book. You have Salah being clipped on the edge of the Argentina D. Nothing is awarded there. No free kick, nothing. Now, you can talk about loads of things, whether Egypt's game management was flawed and all that stuff. Yes. But if you look at the entirety of the game, to understand how much Egypt had to put in just to be 2-0 up when every decision was going against them. And those small decisions build and build. It affects flow of the game. It plays with your psychology. It, frustrates you, all those things. So if we're being fair, and if we want to look holistically, like I said, watch the game back in its entirety. And when you look around the world, it's not just Egyptians or Africans querying the consistency, querying if it was weighted heavily in favor of Argentina. Also, this is not about, the Messi-Ronaldo debate, which people, every time you criticize anything that happens against Argentina or when Messi's involved, people assume it's because you're a Ronaldo fan. It's got nothing to do with any of those nonsensical takes. Watch the game with with a neutral visor on, and you will see that the decisions were skewed in Argentina's favor.
Absolutely. I think sometimes, people use that whole debate of, you love this player as opposed to that player. So those debates aren't even debates. Those are just emotional things. And I was looking early on to somebody who we had spoken to early in the week, Henry Winter, and something he posted just recently, 42 minutes ago, saying that the Egyptian FA, it's kicking off now, says that the moment that you allow even the perception of external interference in on-field matters, you'll get complaints and conspiracy theories. He says that FIFA has brought this mess on itself. And I 100% agree. with that sentiment, because if even the White House can make a call and overturn a red card, then what are we mere mortals supposed to think?
Absolutely. That Balogun situation is honestly one of the most flagrant interventions FIFA has made to influence the direction of a tournament. It wanted the hosts in for as long as possible in the US for interest purposes, broadcasting, audience purposes, for attendance purposes. And then you also have a situation where, like we say, it's political interference that FIFA has penalized smaller countries like Pakistan and stuff quite heavily for. But here there is just no repercussions. So when you look at that, of course, Egypt will feel like, well, we've seen what you do for other countries, but so you can't expect us to believe that all these decisions that we saw go against us, there's nothing happening behind the scenes to influence it. We saw how Iran have been treated in this World Cup. That's not equal and fair. And yet that was allowed to just continue and pass by without any ramifications. And we also had, I had colleagues in the US who were saying, oh, what Iran are going through, flying after a game, that's normal. All teams do that. And I was like, how can you, with journalistic integrity, argue that that's normal and that's the same? And those same colleagues were arguing that no rules were broken with the Balogun situation. Only 2 red card suspensions in the history of the World Cup have been overturned. The other one was Garrincha's in 1962. That was a completely different process. There was never an automatic ban. You would sit, provide evidence, and then discuss. So with the normal rules that we had, only 1 red card and the suspension in World Cup history, I'm not talking about qualifiers here, in the actual tournament itself, has been reversed. And that has been Balogun's, where Donald Trump himself very smugly said that he made 3 calls to Gianni Infantino to force a review.
That's crazy. That's really, really crazy. And I suppose that way of thinking is an American way of thinking, because I've also listened a lot to Donald Trump, and I've listened on CNN to these roundtable debates. And I guess it goes back to the kind of argument that Alexi Lalas had just the other day with Thierry Henry, because they enforce what they would love to believe, because it's all about hype. It shouldn't have never been a foul, so because it's not a foul, we can overturn, they come out with the most ridiculous arguments that have got nothing to do with football. So maybe that's why it is soccer over there and it's not football. But let's park that for now. And simply because of time, do you see any real serious repercussions coming out of this?
I don't. The Egyptian FA have asked for an investigation into the officiating. I would assume FIFA will just come back and say all the decisions were correct, and they'll again analyze just the major incidents, not the minor incidents throughout the game that had an impact on, like I said, flow, momentum, psychology. And we've seen this in previous World Cups. I mean, I covered the 2022 one in Qatar as well, where there were so many decisions that favored the bigger teams, specifically Argentina. Croatia complained, lots of teams complained, and nothing ever happens. And ultimately, when this all boils down, we look at Infantino, we look at what he represents, we look at his maneuvering, his pull for power, for popularity. And what I would say is we should be looking at all the federations who just allow him to do all this and still vote for him because of the money they get. So ultimately, we can kick and scream and point and circle every single flaw and injustice that we've seen from FIFA. But as long as the federations and the FAs continue voting for this man, that is a complete disservice to the game, we'll be in the same position.
I was going to say the African continent obviously stands and puts their hands up because we are ones not to ever challenge a Gianni Infantino in any way. Well, next time we chat, I don't know. I thought maybe this is a fake post or something when I saw all the officials for the game Morocco versus frauds, and they're all Argentinian. It hasn't happened in this World Cup as well. And I thought to myself, you know what? I don't know, maybe I'm dreaming. But Melissa, let's park it here for now. Thank you so much for the insight, and thank you so much for your honesty.
Enjoy the rest of the World Cup, if we can enjoy it with all the inconsistencies we're seeing.
Yeah, well, we heard the Egyptian coach saying that he's no longer going to watch any single game after this. That's Melissa Reddy, author and Premier League senior reporter, joining us from the United States of America. Well, if you haven't heard, Shield is now Rexona, a brand that you've trusted for years, is stepping forward with a bold new name. It is pronounced Rexona. It's simple, strong, and easy to remember. This new name comes with a fresh new look and also advanced body heat technology, so it gets to work every time you move, keeping you feeling confident all day. A proud partner of Bafana Bafana and Banyana Rexona. It won't let you down. Well, that was the World Cup update here on hashtag MSW, powered by Rexona. It won't let you down.
Hashtag MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live at the same time. Hashtag MSW.